Hello, Libra. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. For the main part of the read, I'm using the Star Tarot by Kathy McLeland. There's Kathy's website if you would like it, kathymcleland.com. If you need to freeze frame it to get the spelling or however. Supportive Oracle cards, Chakra Wisdom Oracle cards by Tori Hartman, illustrated by Gretchen Raish Baskin. Websites are torihartman.com, watkinspublishing.co.uk, and then there's watkinspublishing.com over here somewhere. Feel free to freeze frame and do what you will if you want that. Do what you will if you want that. There we go. I just started tripping. I'm all excited. Why am I excited? I feel like there's a lot coming all of a sudden. Like there's a lot. I'm wondering if it's informational for you. It's a lot coming. Ooh. What is... Okay, this is good. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself, okay. You got information coming, right? The situation that I feel going on here, there's this block that seems to be pushed out of place very slowly. Somebody's slowly changing the situation. I don't think this is you. Somebody else is slowly changing the situation. Like they're slowly making choices that's removing this block. Let them do that on their own. Let them remove that block on their own. You definitely want to pay attention to it, don't get me wrong. But watch not only what they're doing, but how they're doing it. There's something about the process that you need to watch. That's why they're saying hold back. Don't be a part of it, but watch it. Because you need to watch what's going on. Watch the process. Not the decisions per se, but like how the decisions are made and how they're being carried out. That's what you really need from this. It's like the reading between the lines type of situation. Who's calling the shots? Who looks like they're calling the shots, but who's actually carrying them out and doing what they want? You know what I mean? Like when somebody says, this is what we're going to do, and then somebody else says, okay, and then they kind of they do it the way they want to, and it's kind of like, is that really what the person who called the shot wanted? Is that what they really asked for? Or did the person who actually did the work kind of like push it over to make it look like the person who called the shot got what they wanted, but the person who did it, changed it just enough to get what they wanted? Something like that's going on here. It's like read between the lines, watch how it's actually carried out. Because it's almost like somebody saying, okay, I want a cake, make that cake. And somebody's like, yeah, I'll make the cake. And then they just kind of mess with it just enough that it's technically a cake, but there's like strawberry frosting with a little bit of this, with a little bit of cream cheese in it, and then there's a bunch of chocolate chips throughout the thing, and then it's like a denser cake, and there's like a bit of pie filling in the center. So it's like it's technically a cake, but it's got so much else going on there that it's kind of like. And it's like the person who wanted it, they wanted, say, a traditional birthday cake. And it's kind of like, well, it kind of looks like it. But when you bite into it, it's got a lot more flavor. It's got a lot more going on in there. So it's kind of like looking at that situation. Like, pay attention to that part of it. Like, so the cake ends up where the cake is. Like, whatever the situation is, like, it ends up the way it ends up. And I do feel like it ends up really, really well. It's good. You got the Sun card. Like, it's a great outcome. But what you need to see, what you really need to follow up on or make sure you're aware of is like who makes the decision versus who carries it out and what actually happens. You know what I mean? Because somebody's slowly moving themselves forward is what I think is going on here. I think somebody's slowly moving themselves forward because it's almost like these changes are happening. And say the person who called the shot originally just wanted a standard birthday cake, 2 layers of cake, some, sugary frosting between the 2 of them, and then around the whole thing. That's all they really wanted. But for whatever reason, the person who well, I don't really want that. I want it to be moister. I want the frosting to be better. I want some pie filling in the center. I'm going to put some chocolate chips in the actual cake. Like, they're just making it really a big deal. And the person who called the shot is not seeming to be upset about it. They seem to be very happy about it, which makes another question come in. Are they just letting this person get away with it? Or is that what they always wanted? It's just they made it sound really boring and not a big deal. They told the person who was going to carry it out, this is what I actually want. We're just going to make it sound simple so nobody gets all excited about it. So I'm going to say I just want a birthday cake, but this is what I want you to actually make. This is how I actually want it done. So this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. That the person actually carrying it out just decide to do what they wanted to do, or was it all about a perception thing here? The person saying, this is what I want, I just want a birthday cake, that's all. But then they go to the side and say, when you actually do it, do this. This is like a little bit hairy in my opinion. This is something. Because I feel like you got to kind of step back and like really pay attention to what's going on. I feel like whatever it is, to most people, they have no idea what's going on. You have to be a little bit more perceptive and go, wait a minute. First of all, that didn't kind of work out the way we thought it was going to. But more importantly, why? It's like we got to figure out what's really going on. I've known people like that. I know people like that. That they do that. They make it look like they call the shots behind the scenes, but they make it look like other people are calling the shots. I know people like that. It's just, all right, it is what it is. It's manipulation. It sometimes gets under my skin, but it's fine. I'm just trying to be fine with it. Because it's all about, if we can make the group see it this way, it seems to benefit that person calling the shots. They feel like, it doesn't look like I'm calling all the shots, so they can actually run the whole thing, control the whole thing. It just doesn't look like it. And nobody really calls them out because they're like, well, everybody has their turn. But do they? Is something weird going on with this? Like, it seems to be like, I'm not really sure this is good in the sense of like what's going on. It's coming out with a great outcome, but I feel like if you start really looking between the lines, you're like, it looks like this person shares the responsibility and they're like more open to people doing what they want. But are they really? You got the 7 of Cups here, and I feel like it's kind of like I have to figure out what's in all these cups. Sometimes it talks about dreams or ideas or possibilities. I feel like I have to figure out like what is really happening. It's kind of like the ether. It's kind of like you're stuck in the ether. Like, what is really going on here? And from what I'm getting where this is starting off from, on the outside it looks kind of simple, but when you really look beneath the surface, it's really not. It's really, really not. The thing is, once you figure out, once you start figuring out what's really going on here, because I think there's a lot. I have a feeling, I'm seeing this 7 of Cups, and I'm like, I feel like there's a bit. It's not simple to figure out. It's like you start, unearthing what's really going on, and it kind of leads you down a couple different paths, and you're like, there's a bit more going on here than I ever thought was. Once you start getting that happening, though, you get your Ace of Pentacles. You start really solidifying and stabilizing your position here, because once you know, then you can start making things happen the way you want them to, because you're kind of like, that's how that works. So if I go over to this one, if I ask this person to help me out, they're going to go to that one. But if I go directly to that one, that's who's actually calling the shots. If I get that person, on my good side or on their good side, or however you want to put that, if we kind of link up in a good way, and I can win that person over, that person is actually the one who has the power. That's the one who actually makes things happen. These other people just kind of play along. But there's more to this. It feels complicated. The deeper you get, the stronger you get. Because once you see it for what it is, there's a bargaining chip here, by the way. You got the High Priestess. The High Priestess is a very strong card, but this is somebody who goes, okay, this is not a perfect situation. Welcome to life, right? You're like, oh, really? It's not perfect? You're kidding me. But it's kind of like, this I like, this I don't. I got to take it all into consideration, and I got to make it work together the best I can. It's kind of like, how do I explain this? It's kind of like, it's kind of like looking at like a backyard, and you're like, there's a swampy area, there's a dry area, and there's the middle area that's pretty good. So let's see, the swampy area, I can clean that up. Maybe we can make a pond out of that. The dry area, well, maybe we can make, that's a good place to have the shed and stuff we want to keep dry. I guess we'll put it over there. We'll build the shed over there. In the middle area, we'll just mow that when we need to. It's kind of like, you know, it is what it is. The whole piece of land is not perfect for just what you want it to be. So it's kind of like, what can I make out of it? I think you follow me on that. There's some bargaining with that. The situation is never going to be stable. Okay. The situation will never be stable. You will stabilize your position in it, but the situation will never be stable. I have a feeling you're going to understand that better than I will. Like the structure or something about the situation is never going to be stable. I don't know if it's somebody you're dealing with or the situation itself. Something about the situation is never going to be stable. I feel like that's another like strength of yours. Once you see it and you're like, yeah, that's never going to be dependable. Something about this is never dependable. But the more you realize that, the more you stabilize your position in the situation. I feel like you're going to understand that. For those of you that's going to hit with, I feel like you're going to understand that way better than I will. It just seems like part of me feels like that makes sense, but my brain's like, I guess. So hopefully it makes sense to you. Let me know in the comments. Because I see you going forward very strongly. Be careful second guessing yourself. And I think this is another thing about the situation never being stable. It's never going to be completely stable. It's just never going to do it. There's always a little bit of chaos going on here. People always trying to make things change. People trying to always make things happen. That Five of Wands is chaos, arguments, discord. The quest, somebody always trying to find out like what went wrong, what to do better. There's always a bit of like instability here. And there's always like there's new information coming in. You just got to get deeper into it. Find out who's really calling the shots. Find out what's really happening underneath the surface. You get a lot more stable there. Just don't second guess yourself. Realize the situation is flawed. Like, and it's just, I just don't like. I don't think you were born with superpowers where you could fix this in a single bound. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be flawed. It's just that's what it is. Try to give yourself a break, because I feel like every now and then you're gonna be like, you're just gonna feel like, oh, I screwed that up, or oh, I could have done better with that. The situation isn't stable, so it's kind of like you gotta roll with it in the moment. Just give yourself that leeway. Always keep that in the back of your head. Situation is not stable. You do the best in the moment that you can. Give yourself that credit and you'll be okay. I feel like the energy went fast. Did it? Maybe. Alright, I'm going to shut this down here. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below. Same email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. And thank you for watching. Have a good day.